Good morning. Good morning. On this chilly, I guess chilly isn't even the word for it. It's just downright cold, cold today. Good morning, Megan and Charles and Carol. Hi, David. Jackie. Karima. Hi, Rhonda. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. This is Elizabeth Inman's Bible study, the one-year daily Bible from Tyndale House, and she uses the New Living Translation at the moment. This is a translation that divides the Bible up into Old and New Testament, then a psalm and a proverb for each and every day. And you know, we always have new people joining the Bible study, and so we always want to just take a moment to let you know that those are available. I believe you can go online to even Amazon and order one, but it's a great way to follow along with what she does each and every day. And what Elizabeth does is then takes the day's reading and shares some passages from those days, and then shares from her heart what the Lord has shown her, kind of the gleaning from that time. You know, the moments that that we spend with God. That's our time to read these passages, and we walk away with something from it. And you know, sometimes we think, well, I didn't really get anything out of that. It didn't get any big magical download. However, I think it's just interesting when we can know what was even going on in that day and time. We can find out how they lived and things that God was telling them to do in that day and time. Of course, the Old Testament is before Jesus came on the earth, and that time was when God was speaking directly to the people through a person like Moses, through a person like Noah. Different people in the Bible that we're reading about, you know, these are real people, real times, and the stories are real. So when you begin to read and take time to do that, you learn about that people were same as they are today. You know, we want things, and we think that things are so advanced. We think because we have this amazing technology that we can get online here and through the waves of the air that we can join together. I can be talking with people who live hours away, sometimes states away, sometimes countries away, that are on Elizabeth's broadcast, and we can get on here and talk, and I can be looking at a name and realize that person doesn't even live near here. It's amazing, this technology. And yet there's nothing new under the sun. You know, we've read about as we come through Genesis and the story of Joseph and the things that his brothers and Joseph, that they went through, the conflict and the heart of the father, Joseph's father, who was ripped to shreds, so to speak, as he thought that his son had been ripped to shreds by an animal and was dead. And you know, then the joy of realizing that he had been alive. And you know, these are real people that experienced real life. And real life for you and I, although we have all of the things that we can think of, though we are still experiencing the emotions. We still experience the times of loss, and we still experience the joys, and we still experience the times of possibly complaining about things here and there. And I just think it's amazing how when we take time in the Word, it shows us I always call it the mirror of the Word. It's to reflect. We look in the Bible and we can say, oh, that's me. That's where I am right now. And then hopefully, Lord, show me in here so then I can change, so then I can become then the person in Christ that you called me to be. So that's our purpose and our plan for our reading. In today's reading, it's Exodus 26 and 27. And I don't know if you've ever read this part before, but this is really interesting. It's a long couple of chapters in the sense of it is all about what God had told Moses, how he told him to make the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant was different. We had Moses that built the Ark to house the animals and his family and to carry through as the earth flooded. So we had that Ark. Now, this is a different Ark, but it is going to house the 10 Commandments, the tablets that God had written. And we were just discussing how did things get written down. The finger of God. If you've watched the movie The 10 Commandments, you see the fire blazing, and as God tells Moses, gives him the 10 Commandments, and the technology that they had during that time to make a movie like that. But here we've got these 10 Commandments, and now there's going to be a home for them to reside in for the nation of Israel to carry. And it is amazing, again, the detail of God, even down to, let me just take a minute to read a couple of the descriptions. Let's look at chapter 26. We're in 26 and 27. And let's just take verse 5. This is the Amplified version that I'm reading from, so it'll read a little bit differently if you have a different one. But it says, 50 loops you shall make on the one curtain, and 50 loops on the edge of the last curtain that is in the second coupling or set, so that the loops on one correspond to the loops on the other. And you shall make 50 clasps of gold and fasten the curtains together with the clasps. Then the tabernacle shall be one whole, and make curtains of goat's hair to be a second covering over the tabernacle. 11 curtains shall you make. One curtain shall be 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, and the 11 curtains shall all measure the same. This continues on. And so now the tabernacle, the curtains, these two chapters go into the tent of the meeting, talking about where the ark will be housed, and it's absolutely amazing. And I think of my grandmother, who I called her Mama, and she was her profession after they moved. Well, of course, she had 12 children, so she was a professional mom, but she also made their clothes many times. She made dresses, and then as she got older, probably my age now, as a matter of fact, when she got up into this age and period of time, and they were living in Oklahoma, and she began doing alterations for one of the cleaners, dry cleaners that was in Jinx. And she would take these, and then they were pretty much the only dry cleaners in Jinx at the time. And so they had all the business from the high school for letter jackets and for things like that. And then she also had a few clients who were participants in the Miss Oklahoma pageant, and she made dresses for some of the contestants of the Miss Oklahoma pageant. And I think about the detail, because I can remember going in sometimes to her little shop area and sitting and talking with her when she would be at her sewing machine, and the detail of a pattern that she would be following, some that she would have even drawn out herself. And it's so interesting, the intricacy, the detail of that kind of artistry. It's not something I can really fathom or imagine, because I am not a seamstress. And I can, I tried to learn how to crochet, and I can crochet a chain stitch from one end of town to the other. But that's about as far as I can go. So when God's telling the absolute detail of all of this plans that's going to happen, again, a reminder of the detailed God that we have for our lives. You know, every part of our lives that he sees, every part of our life that he sees. So let's look at Matthew now. Matthew 25 was our reading today, 1 through 30. 25, 1 through 30, and let's start with verse, actually, I'm going to go Matthew 25, it's verse 13. Watch therefore and give strict attention, and be cautious and active, for you know neither the day nor the hour when the Son of Man will come. For it is like a man who was about to take a long journey, and he called his servants together and entrusted them with his property. To one he gave 5 talents, which is probably about $5,000, to another 2, to another 1, and to each proportion in his own personal ability. Then he departed and left the country. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded them, and gained 5 talents more. And likewise he who had received the 2 talents, he also gained 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants returned and settled the accounts with him. And he who had received the 5 talents came and brought him 5 more, saying, Master, you entrusted to me 5 talents. See, here I have gained 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, you upright and honorable and faithful servant. You've been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of much. Enter into and share the joy and the delight which your master enjoys. And he who also had the 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you entrusted 2 talents to me. Here I have gained 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, you upright, honorable, and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of much. Enter into and share the joy which your master enjoys. He who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a harsh and hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you had not winnowed the grain. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is your own. But his master answered him, You wicked and lazy and idle servant. Did you indeed know that I reap where I have not sowed, and gather where I have not winnowed? Then you should have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent away from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will be furnished richly, so that he will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, even what he does not have will be taken. Even what he does have will be taken away. And throw the good-for-nothing servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and grinding of teeth. I'm sure you've heard sermons about that message before, and the wasting of the talent and what God has given us. Psalms 31, 1 through 8 is our reading today. In you, O Lord, do I put my trust and seek refuge. Let me never be put to shame or have my hope in you disappointed. Deliver me in your righteousness. Bow down your ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Yes, you are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Draw me out of the net that they have laid secretly for me, for you are my strength and my stronghold. Into your hands I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Lord, the God of truth and faithfulness. You and I abhor those who pay regard to vain idols, but I trust in and rely on confidently and lean on the Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in your mercy and steadfast love, because you have seen my affliction. You've taken note of my life's distresses, and you have not given me into the hand of the enemy. You have set my feet in a broad place. Have mercy and be gracious unto me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. With grief my eye is weakened, also my inner self and body. We live in a town that's right basically next door, if you will, to Owasso, Oklahoma. And in Owasso, yesterday afternoon, a tragic accident involving 3 teenage girls took the life of one. The other 2 are, as of last night, were in critical condition. And I have a teenage son, and he's driven that road that they drove many, many times. And when I read passages like this and talking about even the grief of that they're basically, I imagine, you know what it's like to cry until you feel like you can't cry another tear, when your eyes are almost worn out and swollen from crying so much from grief. And I'm thinking of those parents today who, in that moment in time, how life changed in one blink of an eye. You know, we're not promised tomorrow. These things that we read, people experience life just as we experience today. Different ways, different circumstances, but every part of this God has to minister to us. So I pray for any of you today. You have a child, you have a parent, you have a family member, and whatever the circumstance today that they are weighing heavily on your heart. And I pray for you today as we finish that God's love and peace surround you today. The God of all comfort, the God who holds you in the very palm of his hand, surround you today with light and life to fill your heart full. That he collects every tear that you've cried. He collects them all in a bottle. That he is with you at this very moment, this very hour. And we are apart together. We join together with you, heart to heart. We're locking arms and walking up this mountain called life together. God bless you today.